The lie almost separated me from my son, but a father's love has no limits. I never imagined my life would be turned upside down by a video. A video lasting just a few seconds, shown on the big screen right in the middle of my niece Vanessa's wedding. It was supposed to be just another family event, and I went because my mom insisted. I don't like these gatherings. I've always felt a bit out of place, especially after Carla left me and I was alone with Adriano. But that night, I was trying to be diplomatic. I made an effort to show that everything was okay, but it wasn't. The video started out of nowhere. No one expected it. Everyone was laughing, toasting, and then the screen lit up with a recording that clearly wasn't part of the program. It was a malicious montage, full of innuendo. They used footage of me with Adriano, clips from old videos, and added an ironic narration, as if I were a negligent or even dangerous father. It implied that I was drugging my son to get rid of him. No one said it directly, but the suggestion was clear, and anyone who knows Adriano knows he takes prescription medication, not on a whim, but because he needs it. I froze in my tracks. I couldn't even move properly. I just stared at the screen, with a lump in my throat as people fell silent. Some laughed, others looked uncomfortable, but the worst part was seeing the looks. Those looks piercing my skin as if they'd discovered a dirty secret. I wanted to disappear. I swear to God, if Adriano had been there with me, I don't know what I would have done. But he was home with my mom, thank God. When the lights came back on and the music started, it was as if nothing had happened. But for me, everything changed right then. Vanessa pretended she had nothing to do with it. She said it must have been some nasty joke one of the guests was playing. But I know her type. I know what she's like. I know what she's capable of. And I'd already been noticing some strange things. People asking weird questions about Adriano, giving me sidelong glances as if they were waiting for me to make a mistake. 2 days later, I received a visit from CPS, Child Protective Services. They said they had received an anonymous report of abuse and medication misuse with my son. My stomach instantly turned. This wasn't just a public humiliation. Now it was serious. It was official. It was a real threat. My rights as a father were at stake, and so was Adriano's well-being. I could lose my son, and all because of a lie. The social worker's first visit was awful. She arrived with that suspicious look, full of pointed questions, looking at every corner of the house as if it were a police station. And I was nervous, trying to explain everything, showing her prescriptions, schedules, and medical records, but nothing seemed to be enough. I could see in her face that she already had an opinion before she even walked through the door. And as much as I tried to remain calm, inside I was in pieces. I've never been one to cry easily, but that night I cried, in the bathroom, locked in, crouched on the floor. I cried with anger, fear, and helplessness. Adriano knocked on the door and asked if I was sick. All I could say was a stomachache. He believed me. He always believes in me. But I felt like the worst father in the world in that moment. I felt like garbage, a man who couldn't protect his son from such a filthy trap. That's when I called Eliza, my lawyer. She had helped me before, when Carla tried to take custody of Adriano. And when I told her everything, she didn't hesitate for a second. She said it was dirty play and that we would fight back, that I couldn't keep quiet, that I had to document everything, save every detail, every message, every dirty look. I needed to show I was clean, that the problem wasn't with me, it was with them. By them, I mean Vanessa, of course, but not just her. My brother, the bride's father, also never accepted the fact that I was Grandpa's favorite, as they say, only because my grandfather left me a part of the house when he passed away. But what no one remembers is that I was the one who took care of him at the end of his life, when everyone else turned their backs. And Adriano was the old man's joy. They don't forgive that, and now they were trying to destroy me from the inside out. Thomas was my lucky friend, a true friend, one of the few left after I became a single father. He works in video editing and was the first to say, "This is a montage, I can prove it." He took the wedding video and began to dismantle it frame by frame. He discovered cuts, overlays, voice effects. Everything was manipulated. A well-made farce, but a farce nonetheless. And he compiled a technical dossier that later saved my life. Meanwhile, the rumors were growing. In the family group, no one spoke to me. Off-topic conversations began to circulate, messages that clearly came from Vanessa or her mother, my sister-in-law. They said Adriano was constantly on drugs, that I wouldn't let him hang out with his cousins because I was ashamed of him, that I used autism as an excuse to avoid working outside the home. It was all lies. But when enough people repeat a lie, it starts to feel like the truth. The final straw was when I was called for a second CPS visit, this time with a new professional, Dr. Ramirez, an older, more experienced woman with a different demeanor. She didn't approach Adriano with a judgmental air. She bent down to speak. To Adriano, asking if he could show him his room, his toys, his routine, and that's when I saw the turning point begin. For the first time, someone looked at my son and saw him. Not the diagnosis, not what they were saying. They saw Adriano. He proudly showed me everything. He pointed to the board where we write our schedules, the little jars with labeled medications, the drawings he makes after therapy. The doctor smiled, asked more questions, and praised me. I remained quiet, just watching. But my chest was tight with emotion. It was one of the first moments in months when I felt validated as a father, that someone was seeing the effort, that someone was seeing my son for who he is. After that visit, she called me into the kitchen and said, "Keep doing what you're doing. This is home." I cried in front of her. I couldn't help it. I apologized, told her I was tired, that I felt persecuted, alone, afraid, and she listened. She said she knew how to recognize a present father, that she would report what she saw honestly. And that was a breath of hope, a relief after carrying that burden for so long. Eliza asked for a family meeting. She said we had evidence and that if I agreed, she would organize everything. An official meeting with a lawyer present, authorized recording and everything. My mother agreed immediately. She said she couldn't stand to see my name being trampled on any longer, and she called everyone together, brothers, uncles, nephews. She told anyone who wanted to know the truth to come forward, and anyone who didn't should keep their mouths shut. I trembled just thinking about that meeting, but at the same time, it was the first time I felt ready to face it, because now I wasn't alone anymore. I had proof, people on my side, and most importantly, I had Adriano. He was my anchor, my reason, and I wasn't going to let them destroy his image just to get to me anymore. On the day of the meeting, I almost gave up. My hands were sweating, my legs were shaking. With each message that arrived saying, "I'm going," the dread grew. But I went. I got ready, took a deep breath, hugged Adriano, and left him with my mom. I told him it was a boring adult meeting, but that we were going to get burgers afterward. He gave me a drawing of the two of us holding hands. I put it in my pocket. That held me together. When I arrived, everyone was there. My brother barely looked at me. Vanessa sat with her arms crossed, with that mocking expression that made me angry just looking at her. Eliza began explaining the reason for the meeting directly, calmly but firmly. She said that false accusations are a crime, that they were being investigated, and that we had proof that the setup was malicious. Thomas presented the video's technical report. He pointed out the cuts, the audio changes, the manipulations obvious to anyone who understands. Then Eliza showed Dr. Ramirez's report, which attested to the care, organization, and bond between Adriano and me. And then I spoke. My voice trembled, but I spoke. I recounted what I'd experienced since that night at the wedding. The fear, the shame, the anguish of being seen as a monster for nothing. And that's when my mother stood up. and said everything that needed to be said, that she was ashamed of what her granddaughter had done, that what she saw in my home was care, love, and daily effort, that if anyone there thought raising an autistic child was easy, they should spend a week in my shoes. It was a heavy silence. No one expected that, not even me. Vanessa tried to defend herself, saying she'd only forwarded the video and didn't know its origin. But Eliza showed screenshots she'd sent to a cousin, laughing at the impact it would cause. The mask fell right there, and even those who didn't say anything lowered their heads. One of my uncles apologized for being judgmental. He said he believed the story because he'd never seen me with Adriano at parties, and I explained he doesn't adapt well to crowded places. I avoid it for him, not out of embarrassment. I didn't expect forgiveness from anyone. I just wanted them to stop attacking me behind my back. I wanted them to understand that being a single parent to a child with special needs isn't a choice, it's a mission, and I fulfill mine every day, even when I think I can't handle it. And that day, for the first time, I felt like they were truly listening to me. After that, the family atmosphere changed. It didn't turn into a fairy tale, no. Some people still avoid me, some still pretend nothing happened, but there are also people who started asking about Adriano. They sent messages offering help, recommending therapists, wanting to understand more, and that's already a lot. It's a light after so much darkness. Over time, even Adriano's school began to notice the difference. He became calmer, more confident. So did I. I stopped walking around in fear, waiting for the next blow. The court closed the case, recognizing the complaint as unfounded. And although Vanessa wasn't punished, the mere fact that she was exposed was enough to make her back down. Today, I still fight. Every day. Some days I wake up exhausted, thinking no one should have to go through this. That protecting a child should be the most natural thing in the world, not a constant battle against prejudice and bad faith. But then I remember the drawing Adriano made that day, the two of us holding hands, and I carry on. Because he sees me as a hero, even when I'm feeling broken inside. Sometimes I wonder if I could have gotten through all this without the support of Eliza, Thomas, and my mum. Probably not. I think everyone needs a network. Even if it's small, even if it's just one person who says, I believe in you, it changes everything. It gives strength, it saves. If anyone out there is reading this and going through something similar, I only have one thing to say: don't give up. It will hurt, it will be tiring, it will seem unfair, but keep going. Gather evidence, tell the truth, seek help. Eventually the mask will fall. Eventually the truth will come out. And when it does, it's liberating. I still carry a lot of hurt. I still find myself feeling angry, remembering the sleepless nights I spent worrying they were going to take my son away from me. But I've also learned that carrying this hatred only holds me back. I'm slowly learning to live without fear, to hold my head high, to never be silent again. Today, Adriano is participating in an inclusion workshop with other incredible children. And I sit in the back of the room and watch him interact, laugh, and express himself in his own way. This is worth more than any apology that didn't come. This is victory. This is life. They sometimes call me an exaggerator. They say it was just a misunderstanding. No, it wasn't. It was persecution. It was cruelty. It was a plan to destroy me. But they couldn't. And I'm here to tell you that it's possible to get out of this hole. It's possible to get back up. Even when hurt, even when tired, it's possible.